Hi, I'm Marina Riker, and I'm a reporter at the Victoria Advocate, and I'm joined with Jan Tracy from FEMA and John Frederick from the Small Business Administration, and we're here to just update you folks on the deadlines coming up for getting disaster relief from Hurricane Harvey. So can I have you talk about kind of what we're looking at and what folks should be doing right now?
The critical deadline is coming up. It's looming. It's November 30th, so that really is just a little over a week, but we have our disaster recovery centers closed on Thursday and Friday. So therefore, it's really about 7 days left to register. We are encouraging anyone who has sustained any kind of damage from Hurricane Harvey to register. Get yourself in the system. That way, if you discover damage down the road, or if you find out that you are underinsured possibly, then at least you're in the system. So that's the most important thing.
And just to clarify, how can folks register? Online, by phone, in person?
There are 3 ways they can register at a disaster recovery center. Of course, we have one here in Victoria at the Patty Dotson Health Center. If they don't have a disaster recovery center close by, or the very easy way is online at disasterassistance.gov, or they can call the 800 number, which is 1-800-621-FEMA. So those are the 3 ways that they can register for disaster assistance. And at the same time, they can register for a small business administration loan.
Yeah, I know sometimes that's a 4-letter word that people don't like, loan, but don't be intimidated by that B in the middle of our acronym. We offer disaster loans to homeowners, renters, nonprofits, and businesses. So if you're in one of those categories, you need to register with FEMA. You're under no obligation to take out the loan, but it is part of the process, because if you don't return an application, in essence, you've told the state of Texas, you've told FEMA, you've told the Small Business Administration that you don't need any more help. And just recently, the Community Block Grant Development money has been approved. And I don't know too much about that process, but this is what I do know from like Hurricane Sandy. In order to be eligible for that money, they want to know, did you exhaust every means necessary to get disaster relief? So did you go through FEMA? Did you go through insurance that you had it? And most importantly, did you return your SBA application? So that money is for other unmet needs. So like I said, it's imperative that if you have questions, that you come to the DRC and get those questions answered, or you can go to our website, which is www.sba.gov, or you can give us a call at 1-800-695-2955 to answer your questions, return your application to be eligible for any kind of future money.
And so are folks going to be getting those forms in the mail, or how should they apply with the SBA?
The SBA, either online,
Okay.
And if you do it through FEMA, you pay attention to your email, because you might get an email from us and or a phone call. I've been hearing stories of people missing those things. It's important that you check your spam folder to get an email from us, to see if you got an email from us, and to respond to that email. Because what happens if you don't respond to that email? Basically, your file goes back on the back burner until you respond to that email.
And that's one of the great things about going to a disaster recovery center, because all of that is available to you right there. You can register with FEMA, you can register with the SBA. There are other experts there in different areas, for example, mitigation, hazard mitigation, or how to repair your home. There's all kinds of information at a disaster recovery center that you can get in addition to applying. But that's one of the pleasures of going there. You have access to so much information. The other thing about having the disaster recovery center is that you can go in and ask questions. You can go in and talk to somebody one-to-one. Whereas it's easy to do it online, but it's not really very satisfying. Not as satisfying as being able to ask bigger questions.
And with the SBA, if you have documents to submit, we can upload those for you, so you don't have to mail them if you don't have a scanner, or if you don't have access to a computer, or some people just don't like sitting in front of a computer, right? We have somebody there that will assist you do all these things and give you some kind of guidance on what you need to do and how to expedite the loan process.
And I think that sometimes people hear that 4-letter word loan, and they think, well, I don't want a loan, so they throw that application out. If they get it in the mail, they start to read it and they go, or they get an email and they go, I don't want a loan. Ignore that. And when they ignore it, it takes them out of the system to get FEMA help. So it's important that they do go ahead and go through all the steps to apply for a loan. They don't have to accept a loan, but if they're rejected, if they don't qualify for a loan, then they automatically go back into the FEMA system for assistance.
Yeah, that ONA program kicks in automatically if we can't help them. So
ONA?
the ONA.
Other
needs assistance.
Yeah,
Other
okay.
needs assistance. That's. I mean, I'm sorry, we're the government. We're full of acronyms, so I apologize. ONA is other needs assistance. So at this point in disaster, almost 90 days into this, some of those lists are coming about where those people are going to the VAL, which is voluntary. Oh.
I don't know that one.
Okay, VAL and the VOADs are helping those people that with their other needs assistance. So if we can't help you, they're going to go on the list. In order to be on that list, you have to, not be approved from the SBA. So you want to get on that list so you can get other grant monies and other entities who are helping out in the disaster.
And other needs is, what would fall under other needs? Personal items.
Like your car.
Like your car.
Mm-hmm.
Your furnishings, appliances, things that are not part of your home, but they're your personal property nonetheless, and they are important for living. Mm-hmm. We don't replace things that are, that are unnecessary, but we do replace things that are absolutely necessary, like an automobile.
Right.
We have a few comments. James T. Cantor says, "This is great."
Yay.
And Kim O'Reilly Pickens says, "How long will the center be open?"
I'm just going to say, I heard from the Victoria emergency manager that the Victoria DRC is closing on December 6th. But I tell everybody, pay attention.
I think it's 8th.
The 8th.
Yeah.
The 8th. I'm sorry, the 8th. But Read the Advocate will give you updates. That's a shameless plug.
We don't know a final date yet.
But we don't. If this Victoria one is not, open, Port Lavaca is still open. But there's no date for that one to close as well. So, if anybody's out there in Cuero, the one in Cuero is closing today.
Okay.
That's closing this afternoon. So, and even though that the centers are closing, doesn't mean that you can't get help. Okay, you can either give us a call or email. We can still help you that way. So take advantage of the face-to-face. As they say in the insurance industry, the belly-to-belly kind of table talk by going to a DRC.
And I was going to say, in terms of both FEMA and the SBA, this is for both homeowners and renters. So
Correct.
Even if you don't own a home, this
Correct.
is something that you should be applying for. Correct?
Correct. If you get an application from us, like we're getting to that time of the year where things get pushed aside and life takes over and life events happen and your family's coming over for Thanksgiving, but take a little bit of time and invest in yourself to see what kind of disaster aid you might be eligible for.
Often people think that they're not eligible because they're a renter, and if their home that they were renting was damaged, that of course is the homeowner or the property owners. That would be their obligation to have that repaired. They would not be the ones qualified. The renters wouldn't be qualified to have the property fixed. However, the renters may qualify for, again, the ONA,
Mm-hmm.
the personal items, your automobile, your furnishings, the appliances, whatever. You may even be eligible for rental assistance, which is kind of ironic, but renters who are displaced are eligible for rental assistance. So that's important that renters apply as well.
Well, I think one of the things that happens in every disaster, we see this all over the country, people kind of self-qualify or self-disqualify themselves. Mm-hmm. Let us do that for you. I have people say, "Oh, I have bad credit, I need to apply." Well, you don't know what our criteria are, okay? So don't kind of take it upon yourself to be like, "Oh, you know what, I'm not going to get it anyway, it's too much time." All it takes is a little time. Come to the DRC. If you have about 20 minutes, you can do it online. Like I said, if you run into any difficulties, we are at the DRCs to give you that helping hand.
And I was going to say, and that's something that I've heard for folks that don't necessarily think that they would qualify, they still need to sign up for these programs if they maybe want to get support from community organizations and
For
go
unmet
through
needs, right.
the long-term recovery group, which is a group of volunteers here that are helping people recover. So they do, and they need to get all that stuff done by November 30th at this point.
Correct. Correct.
And then also, getting back to folks who are staying in hotels that are paid for by FEMA, that deadline was recently extended as well, correct?
Extended again. Now it's it's December the 16th.
Or is it, is it January? Or I might.
Well, let's ask the
Okay.
SBA.
I'm staying in my lane on that one. I have
Okay.
nothing to do with that,
Okay.
so I'm going to toss it back over to you, Jan.
It has been extended, and I'm sorry to
Okay.
say I can't tell you the exact date, but I will find it out.
Okay. And that's something that FEMA determines the eligibility, so folks will hear from you folks.
They reassess the applicant every 15 days, I believe it is. And I need to check on when that next deadline is, if they're when they check their eligibility, and then the deadline has been extended, yes.
And I was going to say, so for the people that have gotten their determination letters back from FEMA, let's say it isn't what they were necessarily hoping, what are their next steps?
Next step is to find out, well, first of all, find out why. Take that determination letter to the Disaster Recovery Center, if you have that available to you, and talk to them and find out why. You know, it may be something as simple as you're missing a little bit of information, or they're missing some documentation. Then beyond that, if you still haven't had success, then you have an opportunity to appeal. You have 60 days to make that appeal in writing. You write a letter, and it's notarized, it's documented, in anything you can do to document your reasons that you think the determination was incorrect, or that the amount of the grant was incorrect. And then you submit that again, and it'll start the process over again, and you actually have 3 attempts at that.
And then switching gears a little bit, can you talk about, for folks who do qualify for home loans or loans through you guys, exactly how long that process takes?
Right now, the processing times are approximately 30 days.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, we are both working Texas, Puerto Rico, Florida, and Georgia. Those are kind of the biggest disasters right now. So it may take that long, but like I said before, always come into the Disaster Recovery Center to have our customer service rep review your file and have whatever information that they're needing submitted. So most of the times they're going to ask for 3 years tax returns. So if you can have that, so the better you can present your stuff, or your application, the faster the loan officer can look at it, instead of piecemealing it, and they may need this and they don't have it, and then they'll send out an email if you don't get it. That kind of delays things, everything. So once again, I still kind of recommend, if you have the time, either give us a call on an 800 number or come by the DRC and have one of the CSRs, which is the customer service rep, review your application to make sure it is complete.
And what are the interest rates like for loans?
Interest rates, everybody likes interest rates. 1.75 on the home loans, 3.305 on the business loans. Some of the little caveats about our program. One of the things that we cover is your car. If you don't have full coverage on your car, you can get that as well. On a case-by-case basis, if you want to refinance at that 1.75, if you're a homeowner, you might be eligible for that. If you want to do improvements to your house to mitigate future storm damage, you get up to 20% at additional loan amounts to facilitate that as well. So with home loans on real estate, the loan amount is $200,000. For your personal property, it's $40,000, and for businesses, they can get 2 loans, combined total of $2 million for economic injury, which is a working capital loan. Let's say they had serviced somebody in Port Aransas and their customers are down and you need working capital to keep the doors open. That's another loan that you might be eligible for. Physical damage is also $2 million.
And renters
Yeah,
can apply for a loan as well and get up to $40,000?
For their personal property.
Okay.
And I've been hearing stories about people that have rental properties. Rental properties we consider a business, so you might be able to get some help with that as well.
And so just to double check too, so of course the deadline for FEMA is November 30th, and that means it's also November 30th for the SBA.
Correct.
Okay.
We are lockstep with FEMA.
Okay. Or do we have any other questions?
Let's see. No, we do have some views, but no other questions. Kim did ask, but I think you answered this already. How long do people have to apply for FEMA help, whether in person or online? I think y'all addressed that.
November 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So about a week.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys think that folks should know, or anything they should be doing in these last few days that they have to apply for help?
I'm going to say, to get yourself in a good position for the community block grant development money that will be coming down the line is, if you haven't done so already, register. If you know somebody that hasn't, tell them to register. If you could just spread the word, if they haven't been registering, to register.
I agree. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And don't think that you are not eligible. People who have insurance, if you bring your insurance policy with you, that's ideal. But often insurance doesn't cover you, or you're underinsured, and then FEMA kicks in after that. Sometimes people think they are not qualified. For example, you have to have a Social Security number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But not everyone in the household has a Social Security number. So you can make applications, say, in the name of a child that does have a Social Security number, and perhaps the rest of the family does not. There are a lot of situations like that there are workarounds. And so people should at least go into the Disaster Recovery Center and talk to someone and explain their situation to find out if they qualify or not. So often we can make it work.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And yeah, happy holidays.
Happy
That's right,
Thanksgiving.
it is a
Yeah,
holiday.
I know.